Sam Strausbaugh comes from a small town in northwest Ohio. As we discussed, he wasn't sure what he wanted to do with his life. But with a little luck and hard work, he joined a CPA firm and was hired away to Defiance Metals. When we ended part one, Sam just got fired from his position at Defiance Metals. Even though he completed several acquisitions and increased sales by over 2.5 times, things took a turn for the worse. Now, he just told his wife, and we find out how she responds and what happens next. We'll find out that Sam clearly is a risk taker. As he transitions out of his role at Defiance, it's very interesting to see where his investment path leads him. Let's join the discussion immediately at this pivotal time in his life. His story takes some interesting twists and turns, which goes to show it's not always a straight path. Thanks for joining us for the conclusion of part 2 with Sam Strausbaugh.
I said, I got fired. And I could see a little look of panic. And then immediately she made the switch and she was like, so what? It's going to be fine. You wanted to run your own business anyway. Let's just move forward.
And
that made me...
I've always hated those guys.
Yes, that's when it comes out. It always comes out after that.
For sure. But it did kind of set the tone for me. I still felt bad, but I felt a little better that she was... Because I was afraid she was going to be devastated. She was worried, but...
And upset and scared about the future and fearful.
All of that.
All that.
But she handled it great and really set the tone for how we were going to handle it. And from about... That was a Friday. From about that next Tuesday on, I just never looked back.
And so...
It took me a weekend.
It took you a weekend.
Yeah.
Whole
really
box
was.
of tissues.
Oh, yeah. I was crying a lot, feeling sorry for myself, all
Eating
that
a lot
stuff.
of ice cream.
Oh,
guys.
yeah. Put on 20 pounds over the
Yeah,
weekend.
exactly. But
Came up with the idea for Peloton, but never executed.
yeah,
That's right.
he's not much of an executor, right?
Oh.
So you get to Tuesday, and now I think you told me a story, and you're just like, hey, it was like less than a week later. I had 3 different companies that were hiring me for whatever, 6-figure salaries or whatever. You add them all together, you're like, whoa.
Yeah, it wasn't 6 figures each, but Tony knows one of them, Brian Keller. Brian and I were friends and acquaintances, and
He wanted your expertise.
he did, and he was kind of a typical CEO alone, making all his decisions. He really just wanted me as a sounding board,
Right.
and so I did a little consulting gig for him. And another one of my friends in town had a manufacturing business. It was Kester Metals, a business similar to Defiance Metal Products. I did some consulting with him, and it was just, and that was all after the first week.
So all of a sudden, you're just like, okay, I get fired, devastated, takes you 3 days, which I think is just awesome,
Yeah, it's
right?
funny. It's
Maybe that cockiness really paid off. Yeah, screw those guys. They're going to lose millions. And then you go ahead and get these calls, and people want to start bouncing ideas off you. They hire you, start sending you checks, and then kind of, where'd you go from there? Because, I mean, once we read your resume, it's like, hey, equity fund this, equity fund that. And
Well, and then a third friend, a guy named John Bookmeyer, who is still a close friend. Just we talked after I called him. Actually, I got on the phone Monday morning, started calling everybody I know, and said, "Hey, I'm out of work.
I quit that place, and I'm looking for something better.
I don't care what they say. I quit.
Actually, I did have a hard time saying I was fired.
Ooh,
It was a mental thing. But after that first day, I was like, I was let go. I was fired. I couldn't quite get it out. But then after 2 or 3 days, I was like, yeah, they fired me. So,
But anybody who knows private equity knows that, hey, if you're not hitting your numbers, they got to make adjustments, changes, and
for sure,
it happens.
And I will say, in retrospect, they did the right thing.
Okay.
Now you got this pesky little group of things called LPs.
Limited partners.
That's right.
Yeah.
They made the right move. The guy they brought in behind, who I met several times and built a little relationship with, was great.
Okay.
He did a good job with the business, stabilized it, really knew the industry. It was the right thing to do.
Gotcha.
It took me a while to admit that, but it was the right thing to do.
It's always very painful at the beginning, and I would admit that.
Yeah. So after that my short tenure there as a consultant,
right?
Another friend comes along, John Bookmeyer, and we had always talked about doing some investing together. He said, we have this business in Tiffin, Ohio. that we just bought, him and 7 other guys, go in and look at it.
Okay.
We need some help over there. So I go in. Actually, they were just getting ready to buy it. So I did the diligence on it, gave them a report. They buy it, and on day 1 of the new acquisition, the CFO quits.
No way.
Yeah. He says, I'm out. I have something else I want to do. And just a young guy, nice guy. And they said, hey, we're in trouble here. Can you step in? And I was like, yeah, I'll do it. What else do I have to do? I'd be happy to. So I'm in there as the CFO, small little business, $5 million commercial roofing business. And I'm in there for a month or so, and they say, hey, do an assessment on the CEO while you're there. You know executives. He seems like he could be a keeper, but assess him and let me know. I said, listen, I'm not assessing him behind his back. I'm going to tell him. And they said, okay, well, we don't care. Go ahead and tell him.
You're there. You stay there.
Yeah,
okay.
So I tell him, and I do this, 60, 90 days. We work together. And I go back to him and say, yeah, he's not the guy.
Did you just to kind of close the loop, did you call him up to a meeting up at the Detroit airport?
With somebody else?
Oh, God, no. What a great piece of history that would have been.
Relived.
I mean,
don't know why.
The universe wants balance.
I wish you would have been around then. I wish I'd have known you then.
So you sit there and say this guy is really not the guy.
Yeah, he's not the guy.
And so is this the opportunity for you to be the guy?
Well, I wasn't looking at it that way, but they said, would you run the business and keep this guy on? I said, I think he's more of a sales guy. And I said, let me think about it. I want an ownership piece if I do that. There were 8 guys. So I put together this whole plan, and they said, yep. And one of the guys wanted out. So I took his spot, one of 8 guys. We work all the way through this, keep the guy on as a sales manager. And we work through this first, year and a half, have to eventually whack him, not at the Detroit airport. Doggone it.
DTW, by the way.
At Tiffin Airport.
DTW. Yeah, Tiffin Airport's right around the corner from our office. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
But about 2 years in, we just needed to expand.
Right.
And the other owners did not want to guarantee debt. We needed a surety bond so we could do bigger jobs.
Sure. Know that. How about that?
And they didn't want any part of that. And so I just went to them and said, listen, we need this stuff. Why don't you just sell me the business? All of it.
So you have 7 other people. You've been doing it for a while.
A couple of years. Yep.
And you're just like, just sell it to me.
Just sell it to me. We're making headway. I want to expand into Columbus, Ohio. They didn't really want to do that. They didn't want to take any more risk. So I get it.
And you're somebody that we've talked about a number of times, right, Tony, that said he likes to take risk, especially betting on himself.
I do. I don't mind it. I like it. It's what it kind of made my career on.
He walked up to him and he goes, you got change for 100?
I'm not sure what that meant, but
the purchase price.
Oh, okay.
He offered them $70 a piece.
Yeah, that's
$490.
Right. That's right.
So when you went to these guys, did they say, absolutely, go ahead, take it?
No. Well, I mean, it wasn't that quick, but they had a board meeting and we talked through it, and they said if we can have a tail.
Okay, and a tail for everybody listening means, hey, if things go well, then we'd like a little bit of a payoff at the end.
That's right. Yeah. So they kept 15% of the business, and then I took all the risk, all the debt risk, all the surety risk, all the expansion risk, put it all, invested more heavily in the business, and we expanded into Columbus, Ohio, and business took off. Again, I had outstanding people in this business. Outstanding. The business was purchased out of an ESOP, and all of these folks got screwed. The ESOP, when we bought it,
right?
We bought it for nothing, basically.
Because it wasn't really worth much at that time.
No. The business had lost money, 5 out of the last 6 years when we showed up.
And the ESOP is an employee stock ownership plan where people try to put money in to buy their portion of the company, but it wasn't worth anything.
That's right.
And then doing all of the changes, you made it worth something.
Yeah. Yeah, we did. We grew it from about 5 million in revenue to more than 15 million in revenue in 5 years.
But what about the profit?
Profit skyrocketed.
Did you go from the bottom decile to the top decile?
He was 38, buddy. He's like the
That's
decile.
exactly what we did. It wasn't profitable. It was making no profit when we got there, and it was nicely profitable in 2016 when we sold it.
And so you sold it probably for a pretty good amount, knowing you, with the profitability and the revenue growth. And,
I mean, he made a lot of money. He's got 4 Pelotons.
Oh, I thought it
Back
was
to the Pelotons.
I thought it was because he had 5 kids. He had to have a lot of money.
Yes, both.
And he has a nice basement up in Defiance.
Kids are expensive.
Yes, they are.
They are, but worth it, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yes or no?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
I'm still
most of them.
I'm still thinking.
I'm thinking about my wife's brothers.
Oh, hey now.
Of course, Ben's worth a lot.
Of course. Of course.
A lot of chatter. But the cool part is, like changing just a little bit to get to your personal life, I personally think that you care about the people that you work with.
I do.
And, some people could say, oh, that's just like lip service. But, one of the things that I think's really cool about you is the fact that you have fostered a number of individuals over time. Can we talk about that just a little bit? Because
we can. Yes, you use that term "you" very loosely. My wife fostered a bunch of kids, and I was in the house.
But there's a combination where you need to make that decision as a couple. And I know that, like my wife raising the kids, 90% is her. Right. But you had to be on board, and I'm sure there are times that you had to participate heavily. So
yeah, but it really was my wife's dream. But in 2013, I believe, is we went through the licensing process in the state of Ohio.
To be a foster parent.
And it was pretty long process. I don't remember. It took us 4, 5, 6 months to get through it.
Right.
Training, teaching, certifications.
So that's a commitment in and of its own.
Yeah, it was. The day we got certified.
Oh, no.
The day we got certified, we got a call that 3 kids, a sibling group, needed a home. And we were like,
you just got certified,
Can we start with one? And Gretchen and I, my wife, looked at each other and we were like, I guess this is why we did it. So we got a sibling group of 3, 5, 2.5, and 9 months.
And how old are your kids at this time?
13. Quinn would have been the youngest at age 13.
Oh my goodness! So it's like
13 down to 5.
It's not like you had an empty house and brought 3 kids in.
No. Quinn and Noah and Dema was still home. Dema's the number 3 child, so they were all still at home when we brought these 3 kids in. And
wow.
Yeah, it was an unbelievable experience, unbelievably rewarding. Difficult to see what these kids had been through. My wife is so skilled at this. These kids just gravitated to her like you wouldn't believe. And my wife may have been the first person who really loved these kids too. I don't know that.
Right.
They had mothers, but it sure seemed like they just took to her.
But the interesting part, which is I didn't even know that because that would have been interesting, is that a number of them were infants that were. You want to talk about this?
Yeah, as we kind of went on in that process. So those 3 stayed with us for, I'm going to get this wrong, I don't remember, 13 weeks.
Okay.
15 weeks. In Ohio, the goal is reconciliation with family.
Sure.
So those 3 went to a family member, not mom and dad, an aunt, an uncle, a grandmother, somewhere. And one of the sad things, before I get to the infants, about fostering is you can't keep contact with the kids because of privacy laws.
Gotcha.
So these kids are in our life for a period of time.
3 months.
Or longer. And, once they leave, your connection with them is severed.
Had they ever come back when they became adults?
No, because those kids wouldn't be adults yet. So, and most of the kids were younger.
Gotcha.
So nobody's of that age yet.
Okay.
And some of them, the infants won't remember.
Sure. That's right.
But getting to the infant stories, we ended up, I don't know if it was a specialty, but ended up getting a few babies that had drug problems.
Right.
They were addicted.
Because their
at birth.
parents were, or their mother was addicted, and so
Right.
they passed it on to the children.
Right. And
So you had to administer the drugs to, move them off of
Yes.
the addiction.
yes,
Wow.
one case in particular, and it was an unbelievable sight to see over time.
Yes.
I wish we would have had a time elapsed
Camera
film
Yeah.
like they do on those
Movies.
nature shows.
Yeah. Here's the baby cub, and
Yeah,
here's the grizzly bear.
Yeah, over 13 weeks, because this baby got what's the word off of
Right.
her addiction.
Right.
Detox or
Detox. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
Decommission.
over
but-
13 weeks. It was just unbelievable to see. And
I
after
think-
the end of 13 weeks, she was like one of our kids.
Yeah, you didn't
Smiley, giggly, cooing.
You didn't even know
Yeah.
anymore that they were addicted or
So
ever
you had
were
to
addicted.
manage the whole withdrawal symptoms and whatnot, or the
Yeah.
meds to do. Oh my gosh, that's
Can you
brutal.
believe that? That's when I heard that. I
My
was like,
wife-
that's crazy.
My wife did. Yeah.
And what you were saying was, if you're 5 minutes outside of when you have to administer, was it a shot or was it just something oral?
It was oral.
If you didn't give it to them, then they just kind of went crazy and you had to do it.
They wanted you to do it every 12 hours on the hour. Don't wait. Don't get off a half-hour schedule. 12 hours, 12 hours, 12 hours.
And it just really changed. I mean,
It was
that
something.
I think you really changed a lot of kids' lives. And even though you may not ever see it.
Yeah. It was a great time.
And
It really
so-
was.
So that's pretty crazy.
And we stopped doing
good.
that when our grandkids were born.
Sure. And so I know we sidetracked to that, but you own this company and you grew it, became profitable, you sold it. Now, more than likely, you have a few dollars in your pocket, and you're saying what to yourself?
Well, even during the ownership of that business, I started buying other companies.
Oh, so you're already putting your foot out in the water.
Yes. I just loved it. I've always kind of been a
New challenge kind of thing?
Yeah.
Or
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
So I was in an angel group. I think I got in 2012. So I started investing there, probably made 6 investments, smallish.
Okay.
Now 4 of those are dead. I got $0 back. So.
Doing well.
Okay, well, we'll have a side conversation on that. That's if you think you can pick one company to invest in and think you're going to win, you might as well just go put some dollars on number 13 on the roulette wheel in Vegas and try to do that.
Because the research says half of them are supposed to go to zero.
That's right. And so, but it kind of, I'm going to use this word again, whetted my appetite
Whetted.
further. W-H-E-T-T.
Whetted.
And then about halfway through my time at the roofing business, I bought into a car dealership with my nephew.
And so all of a sudden you're throwing darts at a dartboard and you say car dealership, right? Roofing company, metals.
He came to me. My nephew came to me and said, listen, he was 4th generation new car dealership owner. And he said, it's always been my dream. Would you help me? And I said, yeah, love to.
And so you just decide, hey, I know stuff about business. I don't necessarily know anything about this business.
I drive a car.
I've been in a car.
I've been in a car. I rode in a car to get fired.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
I'm an expert at getting fired after getting out of a car.
All of those.
So
things.
I can
There have
help
to
you.
be millions of people getting fired.
Every day
Every
out of
day.
their car.
We got to buy a car dealership.
Amen to
That's
that.
how it happened.
Amen. So you bought this car dealership with
Yeah.
your nephew, and it's just like, what the heck
And
are you
he
thinking?
is an expert. He's a 10,000 hour guy, going back to Malcolm Gladwell.
Yes.
Knows the car industry inside out. We buy this car dealership. They're selling 17, I think I have these numbers right, 17 new cars a month and about 20 used cars. So 37
So not
cars a
huge.
month.
By the way, a little expert, I mean, I'm a bit into etymology, which is a study of words.
Yeah. Talk to me.
So expert, it's two syllables, two base words. Ex, meaning used to be or has been, and spurt is a dribble without direction.
So you're a has-been dribbler.
There you go.
All right. Congratulations, dribble man.
Thank you.
Hey, he's a basketball player. Dribble.
Yeah. I like that.
In high school.
Can I use it
pass?
Can I use that later?
You can, if you can remember it. It's really archaic.
Yeah.
Etymologically different to remember.
Not to be confused with entomology.
It's a study of bugs.
That's where I thought you were going, actually.
Etymology. That's right. I learned that from Mrs. Rose back in high school.
No, Beeman. Wasn't it Beeman?
Nope, mine was Mrs. Rose.
No, that's because you were there so many years after I was.
Oh, wow, because you're like
Mrs. Rose
900.
retired by then.
I'm almost as old as Sam.
Mrs. Rose got my brother in Harvard, man. We love Miss Rose.
Really?
Yes.
Nice.
So you bought this car dealership, 17 and 20. You're
they're
not huge.
They're selling about 35, 36 cars a month.
Yep.
Today, I'm not in this business anymore. Today, they sell 150 to 160 a month.
Wow, 4+ times. Wow.
Yeah, that's what my nephew
doing great.
did that. Yeah, he drove that.
He had the dream.
I like to use the word drove.
Etymology.
That's
something.
Expert dribbler.
Yes.
So you just look for opportunities, and sometimes opportunities just find you. And
in that case, it found me. But after JB Roofing, I sold that business in 2016. I started to then look. We created just more opportunities to look. And I just can't believe sitting in Northwest Ohio in a small town called Defiance, Ohio, the number of looks that I get at businesses that find me.
It's like when a couple of rivers come together and form a bigger, stronger river.
It's the confluence.
Oh, yeah, because he is defied.
And because we are at the confluence of the Auglaize and Maumee rivers.
Maumee River.
Maumee River, that's right.
Call me your mommy. So
Exactly.
you're in Defiance. You're getting looks at businesses.
Yeah, lots of looks.
Got a little bit of capital, and you're putting it to use, and you're doing some really cool things. And then, is it time to jump to FMOF? Foundry, Mezzanine, Opportunity Fund?
Yeah, because shortly after I left the roofing business, and I sold at the end of 16, worked for them for a year, 15 months, contractually, and then
helped them out for the transition. Got it.
And then said, man, what is something I need to learn? I need to learn about legal case management software.
And we were talking about this. Why does anybody want to learn that?
Kind of. That's kind of how it happened. But it goes back to a connection. One of my board members at Defiance Metal Products reached out to me out of the blue. This was in the spring of 2018. So I had been...
Not that long ago.
Yeah. I had been gone from the roofing business 2-3 months. Said, hey, what are you doing? I said, I'm just doing this and that, own a couple small businesses, doing some consulting work. What do you have in mind? He said, I want you to meet my son-in-law, Scott Wolfram.
Right.
And I said, sure. Yeah, whatever. And so we meet, and he asked me if I want to run this this case management software business.
Case management, got it.
Which is
You're getting ahead of the story.
I'm sorry.
Which you two guys know all about because you run it now.
You? No way, dude.
Tú eres el presidente.
Hey, yo puedo hacer
like that.
algunas cosas. Le gusta la nombre, el presidente.
I'm lost. You guys are speaking a different language.
Ojalá que sí.
Hey, venga. He needed to take
Excuse
a
me.
So K-Spacer.
Yeah. So Scott and I get together, and he says, I really need some help. This business just took it out of foreclosure. It's a mess. Will you run it? I said, I'm not the right guy. I don't know anything about software. I've run several different businesses, but doesn't feel like a good
I know all
fit.
about metal, cars, and roofing.
Yes.
But software?
Really?
Yeah, they all fit together.
Really, there is a big difference. There's a huge technical component in software business that there are technical components in those other businesses, but it doesn't seem as daunting to me.
Gotcha.
So we talked through it. I said no, and he said, well, let's talk again. And, would you go meet a couple customers? And that's when I think you and I went up to Morse.
And you're pointing towards Tony, just to let people know.
Sorry. Yeah, good point. Yeah, I forget.
That's okay. Tony. Yeah. They can only see fingers. They can't see where those fingers go to.
Good point. Good point. So at the end of the day, we end up coming to an agreement that I'm going to run this business, but the only way I would have run this business is if Tony was with me.
Gotcha.
He's the technical expert. He's been through this before. He probably should have been running the business from the beginning, but he didn't have time.
I wasn't going to do it, but he had photos.
All right, can't wait to see those at dinner there, Sam.
I'll share them with you. But
so you come to an agreement that you guys are going to run it together, work together, and you start to get involved with Foundry.
Yeah. And, I went to work at K-Spacer May, June of 2018 is when Tony and I kind of took that business over. I think we did a lot of good things, still a lot of work left to do because you guys know that because you're running it now. Yeah. But we stabilized the business, professionalized the business, put it on good foundation, I think.
Right.
During that time, 2018 to about 2020, maybe in the spring, Scott comes to me and says, I need help at the fund.
Right. So the fund has a lot of money that they get brought in by other partners, and they utilize that to buy other companies.
Right.
So we start to talk about private equity. Go ahead.
Yeah, and it is a small private equity fund, about a $30 million fund here in Indianapolis. We have 12 equity holdings. But I look at, when he said that, I look in the mirror and say, that's really what I'm built for. That's much more in line with my skill set than running a software business.
Right.
And so we start talking about, okay, how do we make a transition? How do we find a guy like Ben Jones to help us?
Woohoo! I like
run
that
this business.
Amen, brother.
And so Tony and I start talking too, and just start brainstorming.
Sure. And
your name comes up, and you are absolutely the right fit.
Well, I appreciate that. And to clarify a little bit, Scott, who we hope to have on the show, he's a visionary. And the visionary likes to think of great, grandiose things. They may have 20 ideas, of which maybe one of them, as you can look at Sam, he's going one. Maybe one of them is good. But that one revolutionizes the world.
That's that's the bottom decile.
The bottom decile, yes.
Of ideas.
Yeah.
And so that idea of you guys working together, because Tony is clearly the visionary in kind of our little partnership, and we're integrators. Sam and I are integrators, and so we're the ones that kind of make sure that certain things get done, especially when the visionary says, I want to do this.
Yeah.
And so I think we all agree on the whole thing. It's the visionary and integrator together, which sets up the rocket fuel, to use the EOS terms, in order to make things go. And I really believe that, because you see a lot of visionaries screw up things, just to be honest. And then integrators on their own don't always do a great job either. But
yep, agreed.
It's that combo.
The combination is
Ain't
is
nothing
what makes
gets done till something gets sold.
Excellent.
But nothing can get sold until something gets pushed out the door.
Well, not in software companies.
Okay. There we go. Nice. Back and forth. Just keeps going. Timex. So you guys came to an agreement, and you're like, hey, at the fund, I can help manage a broader spectrum of investments.
And, gets back to that M&A activity. I love that. I love doing deals.
Right.
I just love the negotiation process, the structuring process.
But more than
enjoy it.
More than that, what I see from you is you understand the operations of things. And so you're not just coming in and say, just do it. You're kind of saying, okay, I get it, because I've ran into that at Defiance Metal or JB Roofing or whatever. And so I think that brings a very strong respect for what you do, so that people, when they hear you talk, they go, okay, I get it. I believe in the guy. And I think it's just an added asset to the fund that's huge.
Yeah, being an operator definitely helps me in my current position because I do get the challenges.
And the accounting?
They're every day. Yeah.
Knowing where the numbers go.
Yes.
It's funny when you shoot an email to me. Can you send me the numbers? I'm like, I get it. Because you can read those bad boys and you know what's going on.
Wait. Now, the debit is the side closest to the window?
Yeah, so don't change your spot in the classroom, right?
Correct. You got to sit in the same seat, facing the same way.
I could have been. I took two accounting classes at Ball State, and I had to drop out of the second one. It was too hard.
Yeah, I know.
Too hard's not the right word. It didn't fit you.
It doesn't fit. Yeah. I say accounting's all about rules. And people are like, what? It's about math.
It is.
The math is not that complicated.
The math is it's not real math.
No.
It's rule. You're right, rules, because they were like, well, this is a normal balance of a credit balance. So to increase it, do you add to it or subtract from it? Like, what the hell are you talking about?
It's absolutely a rule.
Exactly.
It's like, when do you depreciate it? When do you amortize it? How much do you amortize? Those are all rules.
Yes.
So to me, I find it quite confining. Like you said, if you have a personality, you understand accounting and actually can do some operational things, people are like, oh.
Yeah, right.
Oh, it's like.
Yeah, I agree.
It's very different. So now you're at your new position. A guy that came from a town of 15,000, you're going to a big college, Defiance College, of 1,000.
Right.
You, quote unquote, fall into the whole CPA, but then fall into this deal where it takes you all over the world.
Yep.
You go ahead and get involved and take a company from, obscurity to profitability, growth. And now, things are going pretty well and you're part of a fund. And I think that whole story is just really interesting.
It is. I mean, I look back and think if I were going to lay it out, I'm not sure I'd change anything.
Right.
Because the pathway has been circuitous.
Circuitous. Is that entomology or etymology?
That one was full of etymology.
All right.
Nice.
Although when a dog's chasing his tail.
Is that circuitous?
No, that's circular.
Oh, see? Okay. There you go.
I don't know.
It sounded good. You sold me.
Corrected.
I said corrected.
No, circuitous is when you're looking for the glasses that you put down somewhere and can't find.
Okay.
Huh?
You go look everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
But you always find it in the last place you look. It's really weird.
Yes,
there you go.
Course.
See, that's some of that intelligent humor.
Yeah, right. I could never have drawn
that
the
map
pathway.
Out
never.
For yourself.
Never.
It's funny. I think about that. Like, there's certain things you do in life. Like, I wish that never would have happened. Whatever. You got in a car wreck or you hurt yourself or whatever. But it's like, if that didn't happen to me, would I turn out to be the same person I am today?
And the pivotal point that we were just talking about is you got fired, which changed it all for you.
It did. Because I've thought many times I would probably... I see no reason why I ever would have left that job because I loved it.
Right.
I don't think and I loved Defiance, Ohio. I loved being part of the community. I still love Defiance, Ohio. So, I don't think I ever would have left. And look at all that I would have missed.
That's right.
And it's hard to...
Because you've already done some really great things with all these other businesses, the car business, the roofing business, even the metal business. But you've already been involved with how many other companies? Would you say a couple dozen?
Oh, at least, yeah. I'm probably involved right now with 30.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So
to me, I find all this stuff fascinating. Tony and I had talked. He's involved with 50 companies, some more than others.
Yeah.
You 30.
Same thing.
And the thing is you guys just keep... I mean, I know it sounds crazy, but you touch a lot of people's lives along the way, and you've done well too. And I think that's super, super cool. And you gave back too, the kids and all that stuff.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So maybe we should have your wife on here and just say, hey, you did really good.
Yes, you should. That would be a much more interesting
conversation. I couldn't do that alone because I'm a little scared of her. I'm scared of her.
The question would be is how do you put up with Sam Because I know I'm afraid
You
to
know how
ask that
long
question.
that answer would be?
Yeah, if I would never want my
Probably
wife
a
to be asked
2-hour
that
show.
question. Right.
That's okay. Let me start at the beginning.
Here's how. Exactly.
Whoa,
You want the
so-
whole list or just the top 10?
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
How much time we got? But
You're going to need more batteries.
I think we're doing great.
Right.
Well, for right now, no,
Yeah.
you're right.
Yeah.
For her, I'll have to have a complete switch out. But you're doing what you love. You love what you do. You've got a great family. I mean,
Yep.
I met at least one of your 5 kids. And it's just really cool to work with you. And I think, one of the things that most people say about you is that you're just a solid guy. You're not a butthead.
Who says this?
I wasn't allowed to mention any names.
Okay.
But you're not a butthead. You have
Try
good
not to be.
conversations, and I think that's I don't know if you say live in your values or live in your morals or whatever, but you bring that to the job. And I guess what I'm trying to get at here is you can be a good guy and you could live your values and you could still do well financially.
Yeah, for sure. It's one of the things I like about this fund I'm with now, because I think Scott has the same mindset. He wants to treat people right.
Right.
Does that, it doesn't mean we always make the right decision, but it guides your path.
But the funny part is, at that moment in time when you treat people right, it's not the best financially.
Not
but
always.
It's the right thing to do. But long term, it probably is the best thing financially.
Yeah, that's right. That's probably right.
Take the short-term pain for the long-term gain.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why, talking to Tony about getting involved with some of these things was, hey, who are these guys? Because I'm tired of dealing with buttheads, quite honestly.
The older I get, man, the more tired I am too. I want to be around people that I like.
Yes, I completely agree.
We're in business, in social set, wherever.
I would agree.
Life's just too short, and it's getting shorter.
It is. And so that's one of the reasons. We talked about, the potential of this other job happening. It's like, why would I want to do that when I like the people that I work with? So,
Amen. Please.
cool.
Please keep that in mind.
he keeps saying that, and hey, that's good for me. Hey, all right, it's good. Well, is there anything you want to leave us with? Because it looks like we're at a pretty good spot. Yeah, telling a
this
great
was fun.
story, and we enjoyed it. Tony, was there anything you want to say before I go back to Sam and let him finish
I
it
just
off?
want him to come break down, if there's any kind of cool exits or something that happen over the coming 12 to 24 months. He comes back and breaks it down. The deal, the art of the deal.
I'd love to.
Yeah.
Love to.
Because we had one that happened, and I'm not going to mention the name that you guys went through, but I don't think you were as involved with that one.
No, I really wasn't.
And-
it happened kind of in my first couple weeks on the job, and it had nothing to do
And
with
that's cool, but I think that would be great. I think it's a great idea. Let's do
I'd love that
for sure.
Yeah, I'd love that.
And anything else you want to say, Sam, before
No,
we
this
say
has been
goodbye?
fun.
Thank you for being here. We had a really great time, and we'll see you next time, Sam Strausbaugh.
Thank you.
Until then, thanks.
Thanks, guys.
See you, Sam.
Bye.